Welcome back, everybody, to the Deep Dive. This time, we're taking a close look at early intervention services in South Carolina, specifically Carolina Behavior and Beyond.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and we've got a lot to dig into. We've got articles, tons of online reviews, stuff from their website, even a whole briefing document.
Yeah.
One thing that caught my eye right away, their logo is a loggerhead sea turtle. Makes you wonder, right? Our mission today is to figure out what sets Carolina Behavior and Beyond apart,
Yeah.
and why a family looking for early intervention services might choose them.
I'm seeing a lot of positive feedback already. It's pretty consistent, too. Not just a handful of good reviews. Across the board, people are really happy with how compassionate the staff are, and they talk about how effective the services are and just how strong the support system is.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And it's not just like generic praise either. People are actually naming names.
Right.
Lauren, Ashley, Latasha, highlighting the individual care they got.
Right.
And it's everywhere. Website, social media, even on the Chamber of Commerce page. They've got a 4.4 star rating with 25 reviews. That's got to count for something, don't you think?
Absolutely. Word of mouth is so important in this field. Families are going through a lot, and they lean on those recommendations. The fact that Carolina Behavior and Beyond has this consistently positive feedback, that really says something about how they connect with families and deliver on what they promise.
There's even a story in here about two staff members, Emily and Leslie. They went above and beyond to help a child get a diagnosis and gave the family so much emotional support, even taking calls on weekends. And what got to me was it wasn't just about the clinical stuff. It was about truly being there for that family.
That really speaks to their approach. It's more than just focusing on the child's developmental needs. They are committed to supporting the whole family. Early intervention, it's a journey, right? Having a team who gets it, who empathizes with what these families are facing, that's huge.
Totally. Okay, so we've got these glowing reviews, clear dedication to family support. What's the driving force behind all this? Their mission statement talks about treating each family as their own. What does that actually look like in practice?
Well, one thing that stands out, a lot of their early interventionists have family members with special needs themselves.
Oh, wow.
So that personal connection, it goes a long way in creating a deeper understanding, more empathy for the families they work with. It's not just textbook knowledge, it's lived experience informing their approach.
That's really powerful. It's like they're not just reading from a manual, they're drawing from their own experiences to create a truly individualized approach for each family.
Exactly. And speaking of individualized approaches, remember that loggerhead sea turtle logo? It's not just a cute design. For them, it symbolizes the strongest light guiding families through their journey. They call themselves the beacon of hope for families facing the unknown. It really connects to their whole mission of providing not just services, but a sense of hope and direction.
I love that. Okay, so we've got the reputation, the mission, even a symbolic sea turtle. But let's get into the specifics. What services do they actually offer?
They've got a very comprehensive range. Speech and language therapy, developmental intervention, behavior support, support for autism spectrum disorders, assistance for at-risk and medically fragile infants. The list goes on. And what's really attractive to a lot of families, these services are provided right in the child's home, and they use a play-based approach.
Ah, so it's not a sterile clinic setting. It's all about comfort and engaging the child in their natural environment. Makes sense, especially for little ones who might be a bit scared in a new place.
Exactly. Less stress for everyone, and the therapist can observe and interact with the child where they're most comfortable.
That reminds me, something else stood out in the materials. They offer intensive early intervention training and service coordination. It's not just direct therapy with the child, it's equipping families to advocate for their child and navigate the whole system.
It's that holistic view again. Recognizing how important parents are in their child's development, they're giving families the tools and knowledge to be active participants in the process, making informed decisions and accessing all the support available to them.
In talking about individual plans, there's something called an IFSP, an Individualized Family Service Plan. What exactly is that and how does it work?
Think of the IFSP like a roadmap for your child's development. It's a document created with you and the Carolina Behavior and Beyond team, outlining your child's unique needs and goals. It lays out the services and strategies they'll use to reach those goals.
So it's not a set-in-stone plan. It's a dynamic thing that changes as the child grows and their needs evolve. I like that. Very collaborative, very responsive to individual needs. Okay, let's talk practicalities. Who can access these services and how much do they cost?
They mainly work with children from birth to 5 years old in South Carolina who have developmental delays or disabilities. They serve children eligible through BabyNet or DDSN, state programs that help families access early intervention services.
Okay, I'll admit I'm not familiar with those programs. Could you give us a quick rundown?
Sure. BabyNet is South Carolina's early intervention system for infants and toddlers up to age 3 with developmental delays or disabilities. It's designed to be a single point of entry, meaning families don't have to go through a maze of different agencies. They contact BabyNet, and their team helps them through evaluation and connects them with the right services. DDSN, the Department of Disabilities and Special Needs, provides support and services for people with intellectual disabilities, autism, traumatic brain injuries, and spinal cord injuries throughout their lives. They play a key role in coordinating care and ensuring access to resources for those with disabilities.
So Carolina Behavior and Beyond works with families eligible through either BabyNet or DDSN, depending on the child's age and needs. Got it. But what about the cost? These services sound pretty intensive, and early intervention can be expensive.
And this is the best part. Services are usually provided at no cost to eligible families through BabyNet.
Wow, that's huge. So these crucial services are accessible regardless of financial situation. Really shows their commitment to serving all families in need. Okay, they've got the expertise, the family focus, the services are accessible. But what about their reach? Are they just serving a small part of the state, or are they more widespread?
They actually cover a big chunk of South Carolina. We're talking counties like Abbeville, Aiken, Allendale, Bamberg, Barnwell, and a whole lot more.
Wait, they cover all those counties. That's a pretty big area.
It is. They're dedicated to serving families across a wide area, making early intervention accessible no matter where they live in South Carolina.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Glowing reviews, a family-first mission, the sea turtles symbolizing their approach, a range of services provided at home, and commitment to accessibility for families across the state. But I'm wondering what truly sets Carolina Behavior and Beyond apart. What makes them unique?
It's not just one thing. It's how they bring everything together. It's the holistic approach, the genuine compassion, their commitment to really being there with families every step of the way. They don't just deliver services, they build relationships.
So it's like they're building a community around each family.
Exactly. And that sense of community, it goes beyond the individual families, too. They're really active in advocating for policies and practices that support early intervention in families at the state level. It's not just about providing the services. They want to make a real difference for all children in South Carolina with developmental delays or disabilities.
That's impressive. It shows how dedicated they are to their mission. They're not just thinking about their own clients. They're trying to improve the whole system. Something else caught my eye while we were looking at their website and social media, their commitment to transparency. Their website, which launched in 2022, it's packed with information. And their Facebook page is so active. Constant updates, photos, helpful resources, even fun little glimpses behind the scenes with their team.
It's a smart move. Being that open and accessible builds trust with families. Potential clients can get a feel for their culture and approach before they even reach out. And it creates a sense of connection, that feeling of community.
Right. It's not just some faceless organization. It's real people who are passionate about what they do. Speaking of real people, I saw they're always hiring, expanding their team. That's usually a good sign, right?
Definitely. It tells you they're in demand and that they're committed to quality. Investing in their staff is part of that. But growth can be tricky, especially in a specialized field like early intervention. How do they make sure they keep that quality and consistency as they get bigger?
That's a great question. It would be easy to lose sight of their values as they grow. But from what we've seen so far, it seems like they're very intentional about keeping their culture and approach, even with new people coming on board.
And that brings us back to the overall early intervention system in South Carolina. Carolina Behavior and Beyond is one part of it, a very impressive part. But what about the bigger picture? How does the state itself support early intervention?
Well, from our research, South Carolina has a pretty well-established early intervention system. They put a strong emphasis on family-centered care and making sure there are comprehensive services available. They definitely recognize the importance of early intervention and have programs like BabyNet in place to connect families with resources.
And Carolina Behavior and Beyond seems to fit right into that system. They work with state agencies and other providers to make sure families get consistent, coordinated care. It's not about competition, it's about working together for the good of the children and families.
You mentioned BabyNet earlier when we were talking about who's eligible and the costs. Can you remind us how that program works, how families get involved?
BabyNet is like a central hub for early intervention in South Carolina. It's that single point of entry we talked about for families looking for services for their infants and toddlers. Families can go straight to BabyNet and they'll walk them through the whole evaluation process. If a child is eligible, families get to choose their provider, and that's where Carolina Behavior and Beyond could come in.
So BabyNet helps families navigate the system. Then they can choose a provider like Carolina Behavior and Beyond to actually deliver the services. Streamlines things, gives families more control.
Exactly. And another great thing about BabyNet, they provide ongoing support and resources to families throughout the whole early intervention journey. It's not just about getting kids signed up for services, it's about empowering families with the knowledge and support to really advocate for their child's needs.
So let's say a family is listening to this and they think their child might need early intervention. What should they do?
First thing, reach out to BabyNet. They've got a website and a toll-free number. BabyNet can help them figure out if an evaluation is needed and what the next steps would be. From there, if the child qualifies and Carolina Behavior and Beyond seems like a good fit, they can choose to work with them to create an individualized plan.
This is all really coming together now. We're seeing how Carolina Behavior and Beyond operates within the bigger early intervention system in South Carolina. They have the experience, the expertise, the focus on families, and they work collaboratively within that existing framework to deliver high-quality, accessible services. Pretty impressive.
It is, and they're not just going through the motions. They're really going above and beyond to make sure families feel supported, empowered, and hopeful during their early intervention journey.
Okay, we've explored their reputation, their mission and services, how they approach things, and even zoomed out to see how they fit into the state system. But let's get back to that sea turtle for a minute. It's such a powerful symbol, and I'm really curious about how it resonates with the families they serve.
From what we've gathered, the sea turtle isn't just a marketing gimmick, it's woven into their whole philosophy. It represents resilience, determination, that instinct to navigate tough situations. And for families dealing with the unknowns of early intervention, that symbolism can be really comforting. It's like they're saying, we get it, we understand what you're going through, and we're here to help you through it.
Right, right. And speaking of helping, we've talked a lot about Carolina Behavior and Beyond and how they support families. But what about the kids themselves? How does that child-focused approach actually show up in the services they provide?
Well, their commitment to the kids is really evident in everything they do. We already talked about their play-based approach, which is all about making therapy engaging and fun for the children, but it goes even deeper than that. They really tailor the interventions to each child's individual needs and interests, making sure that therapy is not only effective, but also enjoyable and motivating for them.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. They're really taking the time to understand each kid's personality and learning style.
Oh, absolutely. And they're always looking for new and creative ways to engage the children in therapy. They use music, art, sensory activities, even technology to make learning fun and interactive.
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, when kids are having fun, they're going to be much more open to learning and making progress. It takes the pressure off and helps them build a positive association with therapy. You know, one thing that really stood out to me as we were going through all this material is the emphasis on collaboration. It's not just therapists working with the kids on their own. It's about getting parents, caregivers, even other professionals involved in the child's life.
That's a big part of their family-centered approach. They understand that parents are the experts on their own children, and the best results happen when everyone works together as a team. They encourage open communication and really make an effort to involve families in every step of the process, from creating that IFSP to putting the interventions into practice and tracking progress.
So it's really about building a strong support network around each child. And that brings us back to our loggerhead sea turtle friend. I'm curious, how does that symbol resonate with families? Do they find it empowering, inspiring?
You know, from what we've seen, it really does seem that way. A lot of parents have talked about how the sea turtle imagery has given them the sense of hope and resilience. They see it as a reminder that even though the journey can be tough, they're not alone, and their child has the strength to overcome any obstacles and reach their full potential.
It's more than just a logo. It represents their entire philosophy, guiding families, empowering children, and navigating this journey together.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful things about Carolina Behavior and Beyond, they celebrate every child's individual journey. They're not just focusing on what the child might be struggling with. They recognize and celebrate all their strengths and achievements, no matter how big or small.
That's so important. It's about building confidence and self-esteem, not just addressing developmental delays. It's about seeing the whole child, not just a diagnosis. We've covered a lot of ground today on the deep dive. We've talked about Carolina Behavior and Beyond's excellent reputation, their family-centered approach, the wide range of services they offer, their commitment to making services accessible, and even the symbolism of their loggerhead sea turtle. What does all of this mean for our listeners? What's the big takeaway?
Early intervention is an investment in a child's future, and finding the right provider is absolutely key. Carolina Behavior and Beyond's approach, it's built on genuine compassion, personalized care, and this dedication to guiding families. They seem to offer not just effective services, but also a sense of hope and community that can make all the difference for families who are navigating the often complex world of early intervention.
That's a great point. If you're a parent or caregiver in South Carolina and you're looking for early intervention services for your child, I highly recommend you check out Carolina Behavior and Beyond. Take a look at their website, connect with them on social media, and reach out to BabyNet to find out more about accessing services. And remember, you're not alone on this journey. There are dedicated professionals and supportive communities out there who are ready to help you and your child thrive. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.